Well, welcome along to the Timeform Sporting Life Weekend Best Bets. David Ord joined by Ben Linfoot and Matt Brocklebank to look ahead to the action. Our main focus, the final Group 1 of the British Turf season. It's the William Hill Futurity Stakes at Doncaster. We've got the Timeform ratings graphic to take a look at, and this is a fascinating renewal of the race. Top of the shop with Timeform Royal Lodge winner Wimbledon Hawkeye 124p, 121p Autumn Stakes hero Delacroix, 119p Royal Playwright, and look at those big P's lurking further down for Anno Domini and Detained. So much to get our teeth stuck into with this race. As I said, top of the shop, Matt, is Wimbledon Hawkeye. It's on the basis of this win that we're going to see in the Royal Lodge Stakes at Newmarket last time. How impressed were you with James Owen's charge here?
I was impressed, Dave. Yeah, third in the Superlative, obviously, and second in the Acomb at York, and then a winner of the Royal Lodge. It's typically a decent race. Reasonable amounts of strength and depth here. Obviously, the reopposing Royal Playwright is boxes on for second, but he puts them away quite nicely, really. And I think he's quite a fluent mover, isn't he? And I think that might be one of the things on my mind going into a race like this, where I know we're kind of looking at a dry forecast, but it is going to be quite holding ground at the weekend. He's yet to face genuinely soft, and he quickens here, doesn't he? I think we're going to see that again with one or two of the other horses that we preview as well. But he is very progressive. He's building a really, really nice profile. He's the standard setter on just about everything, every metric you look at. So he has to be favourite kind of by default as much as anything. He is a promising horse. They fancy him for potentially building into a Guineas horse next year. So this is the next test, but it is a different test, isn't it? As we've seen over the years at Doncaster, it can be quite testing. There's no hiding place on a big, grueling, expansive track like that on soft ground.
Scoop second there, Royal Playwright with Oisin Murphy. You spoke to Oisin on Thursday, interview on our YouTube channel. He doesn't think it's beyond the realms of possibility they can reverse that form.
You wouldn't say it's beyond the realms. I mean, there was only a length and a half between them. I think Royal Playwright was staying on quite nicely there in second at the line. Any extra emphasis on stamina might well suit him. He's out of Arabian Queen and bred for 10 furlongs really next season. You do think it might be all about next season with this horse. He looks a bit of a work in progress. I've spoken to Oisin before, and he's mentioned how he's changed shape physically and he's still growing, and I think he's a lovely prospect, and I think he might run quite well on Saturday, but whether he can reverse that form, I'm not too sure. I think, Wimbledon Hawkeye had it in control from some way out that day, and he'll like a mile at Doncaster in testing ground himself. So two nice horses. Can Royal Playwright reverse the form? He could, but I wouldn't back him to.
Another key piece of video form coming up now from that Newmarket card. It's the Autumn Stakes, a Ballydoyle winner. What do you make of him this day, and what do you make of his chances in the Futurity on Saturday?
I like him. He's got a P attached to his Timeform rating, and you can see why watching this run, because Ryan Moore, he does it ever so cosily. I know there's only a neck between himself and Stanhope Gardens at the line, but if you watch Ryan Moore closely, he doesn't even reach for the whip. And Stanhope Gardens, he's ridden quite vigorously in second by Ross Ryan. And so you have to think that Delacroix has done this really nicely. I was saying to the lads in the office before, and he's not your typical Aidan O'Brien Futurity representative, is he? Because he doesn't come here with a really sexy profile, and he's not a 7-4 shot. He's in there at around 4-1, but I still think he's a dangerous rival to everyone on Saturday. Just hands and heels here to the line, and it was a nice performance and a nice next step for him, having on his fourth run. So absolutely have to respect him. Aidan O'Brien's won this race many, many times, and he's one of many horses in this race to have a chance. And as we go through the preview, we'll see that it is quite wide open because there's so many with a chance.
They're incredibly well bred, aren't they? Vast majority. He's obviously a half to Kathmandu, who went close in a French Guineas on soft ground, so perfectly fine to handle the ground. He's damn... Is this
out of Tepin. Yeah, great race mare.
Grand winner of the Queen Anne.
Yep.
Matt, let's talk about hot as hell for the Jessica Havington team. Pictured here, winning at the cover. An experienced and tough Turiel. Doesn't have the Timeform P, one of the few in the races. It almost suggests that Timeform think this is as good as he is. Do you think there's... A, would it be good enough, or B, could there be more to come?
I don't think there'd be a huge amount to come. I'd be in agreement with that. This was him winning his Group 2 over a mile at the Curragh. This is the Beresford Stakes. It's not been a bad stepping stone towards the Futurity. Saxon Worry and Luxembourg have done the double in the past. This is him. He shows quite a bright turn of foot. He's another one that I think he's going to be quite well suited to better ground. Again, like I say, it's a little bit up in the air of what we're going to get on Saturday afternoon, but I expect it to be quite testing. And this horse shows a decent turn of foot. And really, on his pedigree and the way that he's gone about his business as a 2-year-old, I suspect a mile might be as far as he wants, whereas a lot of the others in here have real deep reserves of stamina and will end up being 1.5 miles, proper middle distance and even stayers in time. So if this is the level that you needed to win this race, then obviously he's in with a shot. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was something a little bit more special, a little bit with a bit of extra X factor going into this race.
2 with potential X factors coming up now, Scoop. You're going with the Godolphin colt, Anno Domini, winning at Sandown here. Big time form P, sitting in third there at this stage of the race.
Yeah, large P, like you say, and plenty more to come from this Son of New Bay, you suspect. I do like a Son of New Bay in these good races going into the autumn. They do seem to progress well on the softer ground. And this is a run full of potential. He was 11 to 10 favourite this day, but picks up really nicely under William Buick to get the job done. And he only had 3/4 of a length in hand at the line, but again, it was a very cosy victory. And this form has worked out wonderfully well because Winlord in the pink cap has come out and won since. Angel Hunter in the green and white stripes, who stays on for third, has come out and won since. And the 4th Hawksbill has won since as well. So it looks strong form. And we haven't seen Anno Domini since this day. This was 3 months ago now. And you just wonder where he's been. Has Charlie Appleby put him away for an autumn campaign? Has there been a little setback we've not heard of? We're not entirely sure. I suspect he might have just been put away with the autumn in mind. And if that's the case, he's another dangerous rival.
He was another big breeze up buy, wasn't he? Like Delacroix, he cost a lot of money at the breeze ups, and I think Appleby's on record sort of saying that he's just taken a little while after getting those 2 wins into him. Then he's given him time to develop. Some of the breeze up horses can be quite fired up early on in the season, and then he's hoping that he reaps the dividends this time of year. And Appleby doesn't seem to be missing on the back of winning the Fillies Mile and the Dewhurst just the other week. He's actually 5 from 12 in British Group 1 this season.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Detain, Matt. Another 2 from 2, another big time form P. £6 below on ratings. Here in front in the Juddmonte Silks. A very exciting prospect. One that the time figure guys are getting excited about as well.
This is a really exciting horse, isn't it? I mean, it looks a big jump up, doesn't it, on paper from winning a couple of Kempton novice races to a Group 1, but we've seen that before. We've seen it earlier this season with Notable Speech and horses like that. You just really do have to treat these all-weather novices with serious respect these days. And it was interesting here. Jockey said afterwards that, he was told to get out and, make it a bit of a test and just see what's under the bonnet to see if they've got a Group 1
certainly did
horse.
that.
And he really did. He went out and made the run in and booted him clear, and he really did stretch away from this field. Now, he's given them sort of £7 as well, and he's hammered them 7 lengths. I suspect he should be getting a mile at this stage of his career very easily enough. He's related to Arrest as well. They're second in the St. Ledger. So there's just so many good pedigrees on show, and he really is an absolute standout on pedigree and potential. So no surprise with the 111 figure, no surprise with the time form P, large P. And if he handles conditions and copes with this move up to Group 1 company, then, he's a big Wootton Bassett. He's going to handle it, I think, isn't he? He looks ready for this, absolutely ready for the test.
So look at the pace map from Timeform Scoop. It's a fascinating race. I mean, Seaplane's the one they're predicting to go forward there. Is there any big advantage, disadvantage anywhere in this race, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think they'll go a decent gallop here. Seaplane and Royal Playwright, you think would go forward from those in this field, and I don't think there's going to be any excuses in terms of how the race plays out for any of these. I think handling conditions is probably going to be more important on Doncaster on Saturday. I mean, it's dry and the forecast's pretty good, I think, so it might dry out a little bit, but it's still going to it'll take some getting home on over a mile there on Saturday.
Selection time. Matt, the bet in the William Hill Futurity is?
Well, that's the key word, Dave, the bet, because we haven't really mentioned the prices, have we? I can talk about these exciting horses as much as I like, but if they're not the right price, then I can't recommend them as bets. I do like Seaplane. He's priced as the absolute outsider of the field here, but Timeform have him level with Arnaud Domenech, I think, in terms of figures. His time last time when he won his maiden at the third time of asking, that reflected very well with the Rockfell Stakes on the over the same distance on the same card. He was a good second and a bit quicker. Yeah, I think he's quite smart. The Coles, Paul and Oliver Cole, they know the time of the day with a 2-year-old. They've not had a runner. Paul Cole's not had a runner in this race for 17 years, and now that horse was well held. But, you know, he has won really good 2-year-old races over in that intervening period. So it's quite significant that he's willing to pitch this one in here. He's got a proper... It's one of those races. It's a real pedigree sort of race, isn't it? I was looking earlier, and I think... Mongeur's had 4 winners of this, and obviously Galileo only 1 over the years, and it's just a proper pedigree race, and this is by Golden Horn. You wouldn't be shocked in a few years' time if Golden Horn had 2 or 3 winners of this race, and I think he's made of the right stuff. I really do. I suspect it's a big day for Billy Loughnane. He's out to break his Group 1 duck. He went close last weekend with Swing Along. He's had a couple of places now at the highest level, Billy, but obviously a brilliant jockey going places fast, and I'm hoping he gets a bit of a freebie out in front, actually, Dave, and maybe gets them in trouble, winds it up at halfway and really goes for home, because this horse is going to absolutely love conditions. He's related to Sumo Sam, closely related. His half-sister, she won the Park Hill over this on this track a couple of years ago on bad ground. That was 1 mile and 6. So yeah, no stamina issues over seaplane. I think he's quite promising, and he's about 14 to 1.
14 to 1 poke for Matt. Scoop, what your selection?
Yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off any horse in this race if you fancy one. I think it's wide open. I would even give a shout to Nebras, the only horse that we haven't mentioned, the half-brother to Nashwa, who looked green on debut at Newmarket when winning, but did it nicely in the end, and all sorts of improvements to come from him. But the one that I like the most is Delacroix. I was quite taken with his win in the Autumn States, and Aidan O'Brien's won this 11 times. And I know he's not, like I said, the sexy 7-4 shot, but 4 to 1, it's a pretty good price, and he'll do for me, Delacroix.
Now, Matt, you can't see under the desk in your bright red cords because you've got a selection for Cheltenham on Saturday for your best bet for the weekend.
I have got a selection for Cheltenham.
I wondered where you were going there, Dave, for a minute.
I think the ground is going to be absolutely crucial, isn't it, at Cheltenham over the weekend, because, you know, a lot of these horses would ideally have preferred a good bucket of rain through the middle of the week, but it has been quite dry. They've been watering to maintain decent ground at Cheltenham. In fact, the Pertemps qualifier, I was looking into that earlier in the week, and Dan Skelton had the three market leaders in the anti-post betting for that. Not one of them has turned up, so that's just really an indicator of how much this race has changed in complexion since we've had the final declarations. And I really like Edem for Lucinda Russell. This horse has got a really strong record on good ground. I'm pretty sure he's unbeaten when it's been classed as good by time form. Still really unexposed over 3 miles, and he's had the run. I think that's again another key thing at this time of year when you're looking for these handicappers. And it was an eye-catching run at Perth. He finished second. He probably should have won. He made a mistake 3 out, and he made a bad mistake at the second last, and then was staying on all the way to the line. When we saw him end of last season, he signed off with a really cosy win in a handicap hurdle at Kelso. That was back in May. And I think he could well have been primed for a nice early season pot like this. So hopefully he can at least qualify for the final, Dave. But I'd like to see Edem win the 255 at Cheltenham.
Cheers, Matt. Scoop, your weekend best bet?
Yes, I'm headed to Doncaster, Dave, the opener, the William Hill Prospect Stakes, listed race over 6 furlongs. Now, there's plenty of lightly raced horses in here at the top of the market, the likes of Fast Track Harry and Bounty and Arctic Voyage, who have only had 1 or 2 runs. But this is a race that has been going to the experienced horses in recent years, and I've got a list here. San Donato won it on his 5th run, Lipizzaner on his 7th, Flaming Rib on his 9th, Legend of Xanadu on his 13th run, and Ballymount Bow on his 6th. So I think experience does come to the fore in this race at Doncaster.
Is it been Richard Fahey's Shadow Army because he really likes it?
No. Testing ground this time of year, experience, can be a major positive. And Francisco's Peace for Adrian Keatley, having his 9th run of the year, ran in France actually on Monday over 5.5 furlongs, ran well. He does have a penalty to carry from winning a listed race in France earlier in the season. But that aside, I think he's got loads in his favour. Son of Mason, love the ground, thriving on his racing. And we're going to get double figure prices about him because of the penalty, but I think he's worth taking a chance on. So Francisco's Peace in the 130.
Cheers, both. And Scoop, you won't be on the show next week. You're heading to the good old Uncle US of Stateside for the Breeders' Cup. Excited to be Delmar bound?
Yeah, really excited. Can't wait, Dave. Get myself to San Diego and see what this city of Troy's all about ahead of the Classic. But yeah, should be a really good week. And I'll send you a little video from the backstretch at Delmar to insert in this video next week.
Lovely stuff. I hope it doesn't, but he might do. Best of luck to Ben out there. Don't forget you can follow all of Ben's coverage of what promises to be a fascinating week at Delmar on Sporting Life next week. Thanks to Matt, thanks to Ben. The rest of us will be back with a domestic hat on as well next week. Charlie Hall Chase Day at Wetherby. Told you the jump season was up and running.